Hey guys, it's Drew again. Well, after 15 years, it was bound to happen. One of the original displays that I made to hang in this room fell. And after I made sure everything inside was okay, I decided to take this, make it an opportunity, and show off a part of my collection I've never shown on my channel before. So let's check it out. So a long time ago, when I really started getting into wanting to display my collection, I would make custom displays for every little segment of my collection, and I've shown a lot of these off. But as time has gone on, a few things have happened. First, the ones that I made, well, they're getting old, and they weren't made very well. My skills have gotten better, and I'm not trying to brag, but I do think that I have gotten better through practice, like a lot of us will with a lot of different areas. And I thought, you know what, I've slowly started to change some of my displays out. I showed last week my Red Heart display that I went from this case into this rack, and I love the way it looks. In fact, I made a bunch of these racks to try to sell. Really sold really well. Hopefully people out there really like them. But one of the other displays that I had made was I was kind of a player collector, and I would take a specific player that I really liked their story for whatever reason, and I would try to get every base top card of that player, and a lot of us do that. And one of the guys I had done this with was Sandy Koufax. Now, I already had his rookie card, but for a long time, I tried to get all of his other cards. Well, once I got them, I decided I wanted to make a special Sandy Koufax displayed, which I did. There was various reasons for it and why I did what I did. And I put it up on the wall, and there it sat. And I've looked at it for years. Well, a couple weeks ago, I actually came up into the room, and that Koufax display had fallen off the wall. It was landing face down on a table on top of other cards. And of course, my heart just absolutely sunk. I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, is everything okay? And while there was some stuff scattered here and there, honestly, all the cases, they all stayed together. All the cards were fine. There was no additional damage because, of course, I buy damaged cards anyway. But I thought, you know what, before I put it back together, or maybe even remake this case into something a little bit different, a little bit more matching of what I do nowadays, I decided to show them off because why not? So what I do is I don't have the actual frame, but I have what was in the frame. It's all back together. So I want to go ahead and show that to you. So I have his rookie card, like I mentioned, and it is not in here. I have that separate, so this starts with 1956. So I'm going to show the entire thing and let you know, tell me what you think about it. So this is what I ended up coming up with. And this was inside of a frame with glass and all that other stuff. That entire thing was too heavy, and over time it just fell, and that's why. But I want to go back card by card and tell you my opinion of these cards. I really like them, not so much or whatever, but I always love the 1956. And of course, I have the complete set, and this is a great image. I actually like this much better than this rookie card as far as the image goes. I really love the 1956. The 1957, it's one of those sets that there's cards I love and cards not so much. And I've never been a big fan of like the portrait close-up shots, but I think they did this really well. I mean, it's a great picture of Sandy Koufax. Obviously, he's still very young, and I think they captured him well. It still has the B, the Brooklyn on the cap, even though they were in transition. So the 57 is a great one, and there you go. 1958. I'm not a fan of this set, and I'm not a big fan of yellow-backed cards. I know that's a problem for some people. Some love the yellow, but I've just never been a fan. So unfortunately, in 1958, for me at least, they did the Koufax in the yellow. But I want to point something out on this card if you haven't noticed it yet. And actually, I forgot about this until I started looking at this display again. Back then, I was buying cards as cheap as I possibly could that would look okay, but still was relatively cheap. And I remember getting this card for under $10. You want to know why? It wasn't back damage. It's because not only was I a Sandy Koufax fan, but at some point in history, a little mouse was, and you can see the bottom corner is literally nibbled off by a mouse. So it's a story. I don't know. There was a mouse out there, someone who's a big Dodger fan, or maybe a Dodger hater, and was trying to get through it. But I think it's kind of funny that back then, I bought a card with a mouse nibble on it to be able to get it in this run. And the truth is I forgot about that. Nowadays, I wouldn't do that more than likely, but still, it adds a little flair, a little bit extra. And then the 59, and you'll notice that this is the only graded card on here. Now, for a very long time, any card that I ever got graded, I would crack out and just display them raw. Is the way I liked it, was my preference, and I had no problem doing that. I did that with dozens and dozens of cards. But this card is specific, and the reason that this card is still graded is my now wife, back then girlfriend, got it for me. And she knew I was a card collector. It was the time when I was putting the Sandy Koufaxes together. And I didn't have a lot of them at that point, but I did have a rookie. So she wanted to get me something special. She went to found a local card store where she was living at the time, went in and she said, my boyfriend is a card collector. And he really likes Sandy Koufax. And I was hoping to buy a Koufax card. She knew nothing about who Sandy Koufax was or anything. But what she did was she said, do you have any? And he says, well, what do you have? Or he said, what does he have? And she said, well, I know he has the rookie card. And the guy said, and this is her story she told me, and this kind of like irked me, but I've never told her my side of this. He says, oh, well, you're in luck, because if there's anything that Sandy Koufax fans love, there are two cards that they absolutely love, the rookie card and the 1959. And she says, oh, really? Well, do you happen to have one? Well, I happen to have a Sandy Koufax 1959 card. And I thought, kind of one of a schmuck. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously that was the one card he had graded and he was trying to sell it to this unsuspecting thing. I have no idea what she paid. I'm sure it was way over comps at the time. But the point is that's the story. That's why it's still graded. And that was the card that she gave me. And I do appreciate the fact that she got me, because it's a beautiful copy of it. Moving up, this is what I call the juxtaposition of baseball cards, the 1960 Sandy Koufax. I really like the 1960 set, and I really hate the 1960 Sandy Koufax card. I think it's a terrible picture. I don't like the hatless. Again, the background is yellow. That's 3 years in a row that they did yellow. So for me personally, one of my least favorite cards. The 61, though, is the other way. 61 is a very boring set, but I like the Sandy Koufax. I like the picture on it. It's different than what they had done up to that point, and so it's kind of the other way. You know, it's kind of a boring set when you see them all lined up, but I like the sharp colors. The yellow on there is very little, but it's got that beautiful blue sky. It's got him in his full uniform, including his LA hat. And, you know, this is just a couple years after them winning the World Series, after moving out to LA. I really like this card. 62 kind of goes the other way. Not a fan of the picture, but at least they have a hat. 1963, one of my favorites. I love this, and there's a number of reasons. It's not just the set, which I do like the design. I love that it shows Los Angeles on it and not Dodgers. Of course, the Dodgers is fine to say it, but this is the only card where it actually says Los Angeles on it and that beautiful Dodger script. I think it's a great card. I like the little inset picture, and one of my favorites. 64, another set. It's kind of boring, blocky and stuff, but I think they did it well. I like the use of the blue on it, and I really kind of like that card. It's not one of my favorites, but it's not one of my least favorites either. It's kind of in between. 65, great card. Love the set, love the pennant, love the flags. Good picture of him, shows that intensity on him. Of course, this is in the middle of his nightmarish run, you know, where he was just mowing everybody down and was just untouchable. It's where he got his nickname, the left arm of God. Just beautiful. I liked the 65. And finally concluding out is the 66. And you can see the 66. To me, that's it's sort of a nice exclamation point at the end of his career. Of course, when they made this card, they didn't know it was going to be his last season. I don't even think he knew it was going to be his last season, but as time showed, it was his last season. So 1966 is kind of stoic. It's kind of a nice picture. It's got most of his stats, of course, from his career, and you can show this insane run that he had in the mid to late 60s, or I'm sorry, early to mid 60s. And it's really a nice ending point to his run. And then the last card is the one in the middle, and this is from the Significant Signature set from Donruss in the late 80s, and it's a beautiful blue Sandy Koufax signature, and I really like that card. In fact, my wife got me that it was actually the last card I picked up, and at that point we were married, and she got me that for Christmas, one of our first Christmases together. So that completed the run. A couple other little tidbits, you know, I like the Dodger patch on there, and as well as the 32, just kind of a little flair that I put in there. I made a wooden frame that went around this. It hung on the wall, but gravity happened, and it fell, and you know, everything's okay. The cards didn't pop out. Everything stayed safe, but still, it gave me an opportunity to at least show off my Sandy Koufax. So what do you think? Should I just take the old design that I have and just, you know, maybe make a new frame and put it back up, or have what I have, because the frame didn't break either, and put it back up more securely, or maybe take this as an opportunity to reinvent it and come up with something brand new? Let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you think about Sandy Koufax. Not where he is in the history and the hobby, but just the fact that, is this a cool run? Would you collect cards like that? Or like, no, if it's got a mouse nibble, I'm out. Either way, I just want to hear from you guys. So that's my run. There's my little story. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, you guys be good.